like when I've been there, because New Jersey has a
Yeah,
lot of farmland too, and it's like you
yeah,
end up with these areas that aren't really rural, but they're not really suburbs either.
yeah. Because like you literally like here you be deep in the city and you go 15 minutes south on any freeway, and all of a sudden you're in like farm country, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, that's weird. Because we're like, let's go get pumpkins, and 20 minutes later.
Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds by nerds. I'm Nerd Dave, and today I'm hanging out with Carlos from Immortals Inc. How are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing? I'm good.
I'm doing good as well. So, if you'd be so kind to kind of introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you.
My name's Carlos. I me and my family own Immortals Inc. game store in Rocky River, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. We've had this game store for about 9 years, 8, 9 years. Uh, we're real casual. We're actually odd because we're in the basement of an office building, which freaks a lot of people out. But it's about 4,000 square feet. I've been gaming since I've been like 12, so it's like almost 40 years of gaming. Mostly casual, nothing crazy, and that's about it.
Awesome. So we kind of met you via Nerditor Doug, which is runs our website and directs our content for us. He's kind of local to you guys, and was looking for a gaming store and looking for some games, and wandered in. And while he was there, he brought out of the box encounters for you to check out. And you guys are kind enough to carry the book for us, so we appreciate that. And he had nothing but good things to say about the store and his experience there. So I was like, hey, you know what? Since we've already started talking, why not bring you on and have you, talk about running a gaming store? But you guys also do a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah, we do. We carry everything like role playing games and everything, and role playing Magic, 40K. Man, I'm drawing a blank. 40K and
Yeah.
everything. We also do. We also have a podcast we do on a YouTube channel, and we have a private gaming room. We do all sorts of nonsense. We just have a lot of fun as we try to. So
I was actually really impressed when I was when I was setting up this event. I was poking around on your website and I saw the private gaming room. One, it's a nice setup, and two, it's pretty cheap. I've always have played at someone's house and more of a private setting. And the couple times that I have played at a game store, it totally wigs me out. It just feels really, really weird. I've only had one experience I consider even more awkward than playing at a game at gaming stores. So having the private room is kind of nice.
yeah, we it's kind of funny because I have a buddy of mine. His name's Rusty, so we called it Rusty Dragon Inn.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of those guys who's got like money he doesn't know what to do with sometimes, and he's like, "Oh, I bought this gaming table." I'm like, "Where are you gonna put it?" And he's like, "Oh, I thought I put it at your house." I'm like, "You're not putting it in my house." And then we started talking, and then I'm like, "Well, because since we're in an office building, whenever we expand or need room, we just knock down a wall, call the landlord, and he's like, 'Yeah, I got this space.'" So we decided we were going to put it in there, like, oh, we'll just rent a room. And then all of a sudden we're like, well, what, might as well do it right. So we made it look like a little dungeon, and you have all the miniatures and accessories you can use when you rent it. And it's separate from the store. So once you become a regular, uh, you just put, we just tell you pull the door closed when you leave. We have
Yeah.
cameras and stuff in there, but yeah, it's pretty nice. But yeah, people enjoy it. It's, you get your own private time. And like you said, it feels like you're playing at someone's house or in your private area instead of like in an open game store environment where you might have some issues or not issues.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got people stopping in, watching, they're curious to what's going on. And just also,
Yeah,
like, generally there's like usually a bunch of tables set up, so it's a little bit louder, there's more stuff going on. If you're not like super comfortable with role playing to begin with, and then all of a sudden you now have an audience. I remember when my youngest brother was still in college, and he set up a group, and we were playing at his place where he had roommates, and we started playing. And then his roommates came home with a bunch of people and like started a party. And I was like, this was the most weirdest, most awkward thing I've ever experienced. And that's going back, like, I don't know, at this point, probably like 20 years. So, Dungeons and Dragons definitely wasn't what it is now back then.
you mean the cool thing it is now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little more rough back then. It's more hidden in your basement type deal. But it's funny that you say that because like we do have a lot of like you almost have to have a game store etiquette because like when people are playing in the back or in open areas, it's kind of like you can watch if you ask, "Hey, do you mind if I watch?" And it's
Mhm.
okay, but you can't interrupt. But sometimes you have to tell people, say, "Hey, you can't just jump in this guy's game," or you have to be polite, or
Yeah.
somebody put a lot of time and effort together, and this is what they're getting together. Maybe they can't get together at home, maybe they don't want to get it together at home, or they have somewhere to go. So be polite.
So Nikolai has a question. What is the overall best RPG you've played? It's a bit of a loaded question, though.
Oh boy. So, like the system or just in general?
I think system, yeah, game.
I mean, I really the fifth edition D&D is what I really like, only because well, there's two. Well, fifth edition D&D I like because it reminded me of second and third when I
Hmm.
played. And I feel that like whatever edition you played, fifth edition reminds you of it because you can tailor it to it. So it's easy to learn too. It's easy to teach. It's easy to learn. It's easy to play. Unless you can get as complicated or less complicated as you like. I think a second close would probably Call of Cthulhu. Is probably one of my favorites. The
See,
RPG.
I just think it depends. Like, I feel like different RPGs offer different experiences. That's why I don't think there's really necessarily a best per se. It's like, what are you looking to get out of that game? And
Yeah,
as far as D&D games, 5e is great. Like you said, it feels like whatever edition you kind of started with, like there's elements from that in there. When we first started talking about 5e, I described as being an amalgamation of all the things I really liked from the previous editions.
yeah. That's the way I felt too when I saw it and I read it.
What?
After
Go
after
ahead.
fourth edition, I was like, oh, I don't know. And then as soon
Yeah,
as I touched fifth edition, I'm like, all right, somebody fix something.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Fourth edition is Doug's favorite edition. I
oh,
thought it
sorry,
was
Doug.
yeah, yeah, I thought it was okay, but we played it for like I think we played it for like a year and a half, and then we just moved into like other RPGs. I think
Mhm.
like 4E moved so far from what was D&D for us. It was just real easy for us to put it down and not pick it back up again. Um, and it just they tried to do some things that just did not work out and were not received well.
Yeah, I always thought, and if I always thought they tried to, it's either genius or they really messed up because I thought they like made it like a video game almost. So to get
Yeah,
the video game players in, and they're like, oh yeah, look, you can do this because you can, all the builds and everything. It just reminded me of playing a video game, like where you build your character.
yeah.
So either it was genius, they're like, hey, we got all these video gamers bringing it in, and here we are, and it appealed to them, and then all of a sudden they moved into like fifth edition, and it blew their minds because that's what I get a lot of is, especially new players are like, well, I want to do this, this, and this. How do I build it? Well, no, you don't build it. You just do it. Your DM will tell you if you can't. That just blows their mind. The options are limitless.
The one of the experiences I had when we started playing 5e was it made me realize what I missed from going from second edition to third edition that I didn't realize I missed it until like 5e kind of highlighted it for me. And like, with the mentality with 5e being more about rulings than rules, where third edition, like and Pathfinder 2, they just codify everything. So there's a rule for it. And actually, I mean, honestly, that's what 4E tried to do too, but they tried to use video game lingo because they figured, hey, this will be something. I thought it was a good idea. It just didn't take. Like, they figured everyone was familiar with it. Everyone plays video games that would probably play this game. And also, like, video games have been, robbing RPGs for decades. Why not take a little back?
We were it was funny. It made me think of a story. We were at Origins when we first opened, and fourth edition was like kind of like already out for a while. We had a
Yeah.
booth because we just opened our store, and I had a friend of mine there, and he was like, a guy walked up and he asked about fourth edition, and he went off on this guy about fourth edition did this wrong, they did this wrong, they did this terrible. And his buddy walked, and his other friend walked up, was looking at our booth, and I happened to look up, and he had like a Wizards logo, like a employee Wizards logo badge. I go,
Yeah.
hey, and I kept bumping him, like, hey man, stop this. They work for Wizards. You don't want them to be bad. And I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry if he's like insulting you guys. He goes, no, no, no. We want to hear what's wrong, so
Yeah.
we can try and fix it. And I was like, oh, thank God. But to their end, to their credit, I don't remember the two guys obviously, but to their credit, they listened and they took all the feedback in, and I like to think hopefully that my friend's rant had a an
he
effect
he
on it. Like,
single-handedly changed everything. RPG players are very passionate
oh
about their
yeah.
games, for sure. Do you play any other games other than D&D?
I play a lot of board games. So like I always get addicted. I'm always with the classics, the Talisman, the Arkham Horrors, the
Yeah.
uh, even Monopoly sometimes, as long as it's like I just play Call of Cthulhu Monopoly, and then I try new things. I'm really addicted to the horror scene of video game, or not video games. I'm sorry, board games. And my wife and I just played the new. Oh my God, it's like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detectives, but it's set in the H.P. Lovecraft universe.
Okay.
And we played that, and it was really well written and well done. We did horrible. We couldn't figure out. We figured out the crimes after they happened, and they went insane. But yeah, I liked it. But we like casual family oriented games and stuff like
Okay.
that, and like even quick games you can play at parties, like stuff especially you can break out with people that don't play a lot of games. So smaller, quick games. Like our favorite game to take to parties would be Are You a Werewolf? And stuff like that, or Werewolves of Miller Hollow.
You
It's just
said you had boothed at Origins. Do you still booth there?
no. This was like 10 years ago when we started. I figured just to get our name out there,
Yeah.
but I mean, running the game store, it's hard to do conventions. Like once we got a foothold and like we people knew about us and came, it's almost I don't want to. There's nothing wrong with Origins, but for a game store, I think once you have like some traction, it's easier to advertise in places like the web or just push stuff out. And it's a lot of work for like uh it's a lot of work.
And also I feel like you're anything you're selling, the company is probably there selling it as well.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Like you can't like I got this D&D book and you have two and you like two doors, two booths down is this giant wizard's castle with,
Yeah, yeah.
flat, you're like, oh, I can't compete with that. But and it's very, and then it's just costly, it just costs a lot of money and you just have to weigh that against, is it worth the advertising. Like we do a lot of smaller like we'll do they have some convention, they have a convention in a couple months we're doing. It's a 1 day convention, but it's a Cleveland area and it's a cross promotion of video games and stuff, so I think that's worth it. And then in the city of Rocky River, they always have this summer fest, and they always ask us to come down there because we sell pops and Pokemon and everything. The kids run around and
Yeah, yeah.
like the Funko Pops, and it's just fun to be part of the community too. So
And and also like those people going to those events are local, so like when they see
yeah,
your booth and they're like, "Oh, where's your store?" You can be like, "Over there," and it's
yeah,
within driving distance of where they live. Like if you're at an Origins, like someone like me is
yeah,
coming from New Jersey or people coming from California, yeah,
yeah. That's
you're only getting
I'm
a
I'm
small
glad to meet
portion.
you. Yeah, I'm glad to meet you from New Jersey, but
Yeah, yeah,
see, I don't think you're going to shop with me. Nothing wrong with that,
yeah, yeah.
but just once again, just numbers at that point. The unfun part of owning a game store.
So how long have you been running a game store?
About the same 9 years,
Okay.
and I had a little bit of I had another business years ago, and it was like a smaller game store. We just did that on the side, and it failed for various reasons. But after doing that one, I learned what not to do. And then when I started this, it was just easier to I had to get a family, and family helps a lot. Like I said, it's a family store, so the family does a lot of the work. And if I don't know how to do something, I actually like it's good to get an accountant. It's good to get like somebody knows what they're doing. Talk to a lawyer sometimes, and just to learn the rules of what you have to do. And it's best to just find somebody who knows what they're doing and ask them, or pay them.
Yeah,
To get
yeah.
it done. So,
Professionals are essential to running a
oh
business.
yeah, you'll make yourself crazy. Like even, I mean, not to get too businessy. Like we have 5 employees, and
Yeah.
payroll would be a nightmare if it wasn't for like I use Square and they do all the work. I'm like, oh, here you go. I'll pay you and you do the work. So
I so our attorney is like an IP attorney, and we met him because he does IP talks at like a lot of the different conventions.
hmm
And also like I guess we first met him because they were doing they also do like other projects like film projects. I don't know if you've seen the uh I Have the Beholder, the Art of Dungeons and Dragons documentary.
I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, I've seen the.
Yeah, like we had met them doing that, and I was like, it was funny because I finally got around to going to one of his talks, and I was like, you know what, that didn't suck, because
I learned something.
I learned something, and you made it interesting, so that was good. I was not sure what to expect there.
Yeah, it's
Accounting and law is not always the most exciting.
no, it's hard to like accounts are hard to find. It's you got to find somebody to trust and go with them, and then
So, what have you learned about running a game store? You know, having done it for like a decade now, that you wish you would have known, like going in.
uh man, just the the taxes and the way taxes work. Like I wish I would have had a better understanding of how the tax system works and the payroll taxes and everything. Just the actual the interaction with the government and like the taxes and any of the fees and what's necessary to do something. Like you know, did you have to, like when the fire marshal comes in and says you need more extinguishers, you're like, oh, I didn't know. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I just wish I'd have known more about that stuff and possibly more about financing, like a budget, how to keep a budget and what's best and, the percentages wise.
yeah. I feel like game store owners, comic store owners are kind of like they're kind of like the same breed. They're like, oh, I like a thing. I know what I'll do. I'll have a store and sell the thing, and then I'll just love my job all the time. And then, like you said, it's like, oh, payroll, taxes, accounting, things that I think most of us don't love.
My wife's really good about that because like I'll get stuff that I like
Yeah,
what's her bane of my existence, like novels, like, oh, we got to sell novels, and my wife's like, why are you buying novels? Nobody's buying these. And then I have to agree. I'm like, you're right, you're right, or hey, you got to restock this, or we need pop this, or and especially she's really good with dealing with employees. Like
yeah.
I'm always been like, okay, whatever, and she's like, no, they have to do this, they have to do that, there's certain rules they have to have, and she just manages them way better than I ever would. And if it wasn't for her, they'd probably just run the place. So, but
All
I
right, step
appreciate
one:
that a
marry
lot.
the right person.
Yes, you have to. Yeah. Oh, you have to have a patient spouse too, because I'll lose my mind, and she puts up with my shenanigans and my nonsense, and the hard. It's just so much work, and you got to put a lot of time and effort into this, and they got to be there with you, or it's not going to work.
It will be very difficult. As always, folks, the links are in the description so you can check out Immortals Inc. And you guys have a YouTube channel, podcast, all kinds of things. If you don't
Yeah.
happen to be local to the store, where is the store located again?
Rocky River, Ohio. It's just west of Cleveland, like what, 2 minutes? 2 minutes outside of Cleveland.
And so, do you usually game in your own gaming room at the store? Is that where your home group is?
No, this my wife just made a comment. This is the new game. Is our game is the game store game now. That's our game. So yeah, we game in here. Occasionally, we will game in the private gaming room
Yeah,
with our friend. Do it. We used to do it constantly, and then I think that's the pandemic kind of hurt us. It hurt us personally
yeah.
because we couldn't game with our friends anymore. So that kind of fell off, and then we started really focusing on the business, and the business became the new game. Like, oh my god, we need pop. Oh my god, we need to order this. Oh my god, this is happening.
So you
But
are
yeah,
playing
that's
accountants and attorneys now,
yes.
like the meme.
Yeah, that classic Dungeon and Dragons little funny cartoon of like all the adventures sitting around playing accountants and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what kind of events do you guys have at the stores to kind of like draw people in?
We do the Wizards. I'm sorry, we do the D&D Adventure League on Wednesdays and Sundays. We have the classic Friday Night Magics on Friday. Saturday is all day like Commander for Magic. Sunday we have a various amount of things. What do we do Sunday? Oh yeah, Adventure League's on Sunday. a lot of private games on Sunday, and oh yeah, 40K Thursdays. I forget all the time. Monday nights is Flesh and Blood. We do all sorts of goofy stuff. We used to have before the pandemic, which I'd really like to start going again. My wife would cook. We'd like have like a magic event where you can only use like green cards for St. Patty's Day, and then we would have like corned beef hash, or not corned beef hash, but corned beef and cabbage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, we had a pajama party one time with pancakes, wasn't it? Yeah,
That sounds like a lot of fun. So you like to do like theme type stuff.
yeah, yeah. We'll do a lot of TikTok lately. That's it. My wife's learned about TikTok. Grandson's actually doing a lot of film, pushing that out there. What else do we do have fun around here? Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting consulting from my wife here.
I see that.
The
She's just gonna push you out of the way and jump on.
I know she's about and,
The brains of the operation.
yeah, I
So
know she is. She keeps it together.
so
Trust
what
me.
what is the podcast about? What do you guys podcast?
We originally started like years ago. We started with like we would do blogs, and then
Yeah,
my stepson's like, "Hey, why are you doing blogs? Why don't you just do a podcast?" I'm like, "What's a podcast?" So then we started doing an audio podcast, just talking.
yeah,
We just talk about nonsense, and then pretty soon I'm like, "Well, we could probably film it." And then we had a little extra storage room, so we just turned it into a little film room with a green screen and real simple. And then we just started talking about games. Me and a customer started talking. We'd come in and just start talking about games, and he would review them, and I would ask about them, and we'd be a relative history of it. And then it kind of morphed into like, hey man, we should just get a studio. And so we built a little studio.
yeah.
And now, like, I'll come in, I'll talk about a game that came out or a game I like, and then I got another guy, John, who does. He's a game designer, so he talks about his games, and um, we just usually bring people in to talk about whatever game we're playing or whatever game they like. And I try to, how do I say, without insulting anybody, it's like sometimes you go on game, I'm like, I want to know about this game. What's this like? And then it's like an hour and a half talk about every little intricate, like a
Yeah,
role
yeah,
of the game. And I'm like, okay, that's too much for me. I just want to know if it's fun or, so I'm like, we'll try to do like 10-minute, 15-minute spiels on, like, hey, this is what this game's about. This is how it plays. If you like this type of game, it's probably you'll like this, and this. Just a quick synopsis of it, and to see if you even want an interest. If like almost like a taste. Like, hey, this tastes pretty good. Let me go investigate a little further, and then we carry that game. And it's usually stuff we like. Or we feel it's a quality product.
have you found that doing like YouTube and the podcast is good for bringing people into the store, or does it help with, or helps more so with like online sales?
I find that it's because we have a lot of local people right now, so there's a lot of local customers and people watch it and see it. So it's like we're kind of smaller,
Yeah,
and I find that when we talk about stuff, it sells. I'm like, oh my god, so if
it
we talk about a
works.
game, then yeah, it works. So I'm like, okay, I see how this works now, and
Yeah,
or even just that we exist, because some people are like, what is this place? Like, is this a
yeah.
real store? Because like, quite honestly, if like your friend, like your the guy who came here, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name again.
That's fine.
I am
Doug.
that
He did
Doug.
mention the store is kind of hidden.
Yeah, it is in a an office building, so a lot of people come in and they'll be like, they think they're in a dentist office, or it's like a trap for nerds. Like, oh my god,
Yeah,
well,
never
you get
escape.
down, yeah, and you get off the elevator. It's literally in the basement, and you get off the elevator, and it still looks like an office building with doors, and all of a sudden you go in this glass door, and bam, it's this huge gaming store with all the shenanigans, and the private gaming room looks like a little bar in the middle of like a little dungeon bar in the middle of nothing, in the
Yeah,
middle of
yeah.
the back rooms, I guess.
Do you guys? I mean, pre-pandemic, would you guys get a lot of foot traffic from the people that work in the office building?
It's funny because all of a sudden they're like, what do you guys do down here? And then there's a lot of gamers at work, they're like, wait a minute, because
Yeah.
they'll like get bored, and they're like, I always get like, I was bored at work, or I was taking a break, and I was looking up like a board game I like, and they're like, buy it here, and they'll be like, this says it's like underneath me.
It's like 200 feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then they'll come down and be like, oh my God, what's all this? But
Yeah.
yeah, we don't get a lot of I think the difference is we don't get a lot, like people are always like, why don't you have a storefront? I'm like, because it's kind of a destination, you don't drive home saying, oh my God, I need to stop and get magic cards. I need to stop and get milk and magic cards. But like if you want gaming and toys and hobbies, you're gonna look them up or you're gonna go to that place for a destination.
Yeah.
So that's what we get a lot. So like a lot of people come in here and then we don't get if you're here, you want to be here. So it's like it's to me it's more fun, you don't get like problem people or people that's off the streets wandering around doing weird stuff. And um
Make them work for it.
huh?
Make them
Yeah,
work
make them
for it.
work for
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Well, no, I guess also like office space is generally cheaper than retail space.
Oh yeah, as from a business standpoint, it's like the business like so I pay the rent and it's flat, so I get electricity, AC, all that, the heat and everything's included in that. And it's so much easier. And then the maintenance and the bathroom alone. The
Uh,
bathroom is the best part about it because it's separate.
yeah.
It's clean, it's kept, the building keeps it up, it's nice, and I don't have to deal with
It's
it.
somebody else's problem
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like you wouldn't think that'd be a big deal, but
Well, yeah, I
you don't
guess
want to.
those are the things you don't think about when you start up, a
Yeah, they have
business
their
like
own,
that.
they have their own cleaning staff, so they come in, they get the garbage, sweep, clean, and they keep it nice and neat, and the front lawns, the front area is manicured, and just it's so much easier from
I,
that standpoint.
I have a friend that accidentally opened a gaming store. Um, so like in the town, they had a digital gaming business, right? And they wanted office space, and they wanted to do it local in their town, and in that town, Woodbury, there's only retail space. There isn't any office space. So when they're like, trying to get the space and get it through, I guess the town board or whatever, they're like, oh no, it has to be retail. So they're kind of like, well, what if we sold used board games? And they're like, yeah, that'd be fine. So like their first storefront was like this space that was like 10 by 20 was the front with the used board games because he just called up his partners and said, hey, get all your board games, we're gonna sell them. And then like, which was like, it was like 20% of the actual space, and the rest of it was like turned into their office for where they were making games for the separate company. It was so bizarre. They had like a front for their island official game company, and then there was Tiki was their board games, but which they've blown up from there quite a bit.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like what we did because like we didn't really want to like start a game store. We wanted to we didn't mind, we were gonna do some stuff online and a place to play and to sell a few games here and there. And it literally was in the other office space we had was like one room, one door, didn't even have a sign on it, just a number.
Yeah,
And then once you started getting stuff, people, we'd be sitting there and then my stepson, he's got MDs in a wheelchair, so he was having a hard time like finding a job that suited him. I'm gonna say, well, why don't we do this on the side? Because he just got his college degree in web design. I go, hey, we'll make a website and we'll just do this on the side for fun, and then see what happens. And then we just started working it, and then one day, all of a sudden, people you hit a knock on their door, like, yeah, you guys sell games? Sure. They came in. We just started getting more and more. Like my wife always laughs. She goes, yeah, we started with a coffee pot and a telephone, and that's all we had.
yeah,
And it just, and then, but yeah, and all of a sudden, it just, but, but just work. You just got to put your time and effort and love into it, and
yeah.
it'll take off.
Well, Parks, you misheard slightly. Did you say there is a bar in the store? Do you sell
Oh
meat for
no,
private room games?
no, no. I'm sorry. It looks like a tavern, I guess. We
Yeah,
made it
yeah,
look like a tavern, but it is not a bar. We do not have a liquor license. There's no. We actually do have a little coffee bar in the back. My wife is like,
yeah,
"Hey, if we're going to do this here, I need a kitchen area." So we made a kitchen area, and a friend of mine built a wooden bar, so it looks like a bar in the back, but it's just coffee and everything like that. But yeah,
yeah,
we always get people are like, "Oh yeah, you should get a liquor license," and I'm like, "No way! I don't even want to deal with that." Hey, in the private gaming room, there's a fridge in there. What you put in the fridge and you don't destroy anything, I don't care. But
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, we don't have one. No, no bar, no liquor license. What's funny part is here's the funnier part. is in this office building. If I can go off for a minute,
Yep.
there's there's 4 floors and there's a penthouse. In the penthouse is a Italian restaurant that you wouldn't even think there. It's like this little. It's like it's probably no bigger than like 40 by 40. He's got
Uh,
tables, he's got a little kitchen area, but it's this Italian guy who retired and he was a chef all his life. Well, he retired and then he got bored. So he goes, I'm going to open up a little like Italian restaurant. So like you get in the elevator from here and you push the penthouse button, you go up there and it's just like this little authentic Italian restaurant. Like you
yep.
wouldn't even know there. And all these people go there and we eat there all the time. It's like really good. It'll make you anything you want. But he's a classic angry Italian guy. What do you want? You know, and he's got
What are
the
you doing here? I don't know. I thought you had a business. I do. Yeah.
I'm busy. He's like, or he'll catch us walking in the store. Sometimes we'll have like Chipotle or something. He goes, "Oh, why don't you come upstairs? That's crap. That's crap you're eating. I'll make you better." And I'm like, "All right, man, leave me alone. I'm sorry I offended you."
Food shaming you for your choices.
I know, but he's really good and he's funny because like I'm not a big fan of dairy products, and
Yeah.
Italians like my wife's Italian, so they love cheese, and the Italian dairy products do not go well with me. So every time I would go up there, he'd put like just give me a hamburger, he'd put cheese on it, and I'm like Mario, and his name's Mario, of course. Hey, no cheese on it. He goes, okay, no cheese. So I get the next burger and I eat it. And I'm like, oh, he put cheese inside the burger. Like he has to have cheese on it. So it's like a running joke with me and him. I'm like, don't you put no cheese on anything that you give me. And he's like
He's smuggling
ah.
it in wherever. Next thing he's gonna insert it in the bun, and it'll be baked into the bun.
I know, like injecting it into the spaghetti. Like, oh my Lord.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
it's
funny.
it's this is a little weird place we got going on. So
Yeah, there used to be a really good Italian restaurant that was just a house, right? That someone converted. So like you would just drive by, you wouldn't even know, like you had to know it was there.
sort of like sort of like the game store. No,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's a lot of fun. It's pretty funny because the landlord owns 2 buildings. So there's our building, and then in front of it, like at an angle, is another office building. It's a bigger one. But there's a parking garage underneath, which we're right outside of, that's underground that a lot of people don't know about.
yeah.
Well, it's pretty funny because you can go across the parking garage and get to the other building. So there's a random elevator. So sometimes people like they'll wander out the wrong door and they go, "Can I get out here?" And they'll go out and it's like a Highlander in there, It's like waiting for something to happen, and they'll wander like, I just found a random elevator. I got on it, and I went up, and I thought I was coming to you guys, and I don't know what's going
I
on.
don't know where I'm at now. Yeah.
They'll be calling on the phone. Where are you? I'm like, oh my, where are you? But it's a
So
lot of fun. It's different.
how is the community around your store? Like it's kind of developed around having a store.
Like the customers or
Yep,
the
yep,
people here,
yeah,
the
customers.
customers. We really push casual play here.
Mm,
Like if you want to learn how to play a game, come on by. If you want to just play casually, come on by. We're not a big like competitive, I guess.
yeah.
Like we didn't even do standard magic here because we couldn't get it to take. And there's nothing wrong with standard magic. It's cool, but it's just like it's not the crowd we have. We're more like commander players who come in and play, and they'll all get together. They won't, we just do door prizes for the prizes usually if they have them, because it's just so much easier. Very helpful. Everybody's very helpful. They kind of clean up their own. If you get a player that doesn't quite fit or is causing a problem, they usually handle it themselves and say, "Hey, guy, maybe try this store." Because around here we got plenty of stores with different flavors. And it's almost like the Sharks and the Jets or whatever. And
Yeah.
like if you got a really competitive player and that's what they want to be, then they're better fit here. But we're more the casual, like, hey, I don't want to like spend all my paycheck on games just to win. I just want to a couple bucks here, and I want to go have some fun for a few hours and forget about it.
Yeah. Who is it usually throw under the bus? Is that Mikey?
Yeah, Mikey's always thrown under the bus. He
I went over to your TikTok and you're like, I'm just restocking these things because Mikey didn't do it.
he's the grandson who's the bane of all my problems. But no, he likes to think he's, it's just a young kid, but yeah, I like to play with him. But yeah, Mikey is the scapegoat for everything that goes wrong right now. But
And is Mikey the one who usually appears on the podcast with you?
yeah, the young guy. He's very yeah. They always say it was very charismatic against you. I'm like, so I'm not charismatic.
Yeah.
Or he's young, he's young and you're old. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
old. But yeah, he's pretty funny, but he's very knowledgeable in that stuff and he likes to talk to people and he'll talk to anybody about anything. Very it's like his grandmother, my wife. They'll start a conversation with anybody just randomly in an elevator or whatever. And
Oh yeah, my
I'm
wife's
like,
that way too. I'm like, why are you talking to them? Nobody wants to talk to you.
yeah. But they will. They'll be talking for hours. And I was
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
even know that person? No, I just met him. I'm like, oh my God. But it is pretty funny. But yeah, he does a lot. I got him doing a lot of work on the website and he's very excited about not yeah, website, the YouTube and everything like that. He's very excited. So hopefully we can get that up and going and get a little traction. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it
sorry.
sounds like a lot more fun as far as like starter jobs go than,
Oh yeah.
flipping
He's
burgers or doing something else.
oh, that's what I said. I said, at least you're not, it's not man, it's not like hard labor. I have
Yeah.
to yell at you every once in a while to make it feel like a job, right?
And at least like even as far as retail goes, at least the people that are coming in mostly are people that are interested or want to know about the thing that you guys sell. There's a fandom built in.
Yeah.
It's not just someone like going to pick up something they need, and like if they're having a bad day, you're gonna get it. Like walking into a gaming store tends to be more of an uplifting thing if you're having a bad day than where you're gonna continue your bad day.
Yeah, yeah, we always try to be happy. It's funny because a lot of people complain, but like even like our manager is Rebecca, who's our niece. She's out on some leave right now, but Rebecca, Mikey, even the guy that does online, I found it's easier to have somebody who's more, as far as store and business goes, that's more personable and retail minded than it is to have uh, like a hardcore gamer working. Because like they don't know about everything, but they'll learn, and they
Yeah.
actually they'll engage the customer. Like, well, tell me about this because I don't know much about it, and they'll gladly tell you about whatever game they like or what's their favorite, and then they learn that way. Like even if you watch any of our like the podcast, Mikey's like has no clue on half this stuff, and
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know what that is. So it's it helps us, bring it down and explain it to people. I think too,
Well,
and then
yeah, you
how
get
it
a
works.
gamer like you even talked about before we went live. It's like you walk in a store and you're like, "Hey, do you have this game?" And they're like, "Yeah, but it's terrible. Why would you even want to play that?"
Yeah, it's like why would you do that? Maybe that guy likes that game. Let him like the game, and
Yeah.
let him enjoy it. There's some games I would be like, why would you play that in my head? But I'm like, yeah, if he likes it, he likes it, and maybe he can tell me why it's a good game, because that's even happened a lot. Like games I never thought I would even look at or play, and then all of a sudden you read about them a little bit, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, or somebody explains, you're like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool concept, and let me see this, and then all of a sudden you're into it. All of a sudden you're reading a book you have no reason to read. And you're like, oh my God, why did I just bought this? Why? And then, but it's a great thing,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's super cool.
When we were growing up, I had mentioned, when we were off camera that we had a comic book store that was like a collectible store, and they had like a couple shelves where there was gaming stuff, but like I was just getting into comics and that was the closest thing, so I'd go there, and like the owner like seemed to hate kids, but he sold all this stuff that would attract kids. But he did have this one young guy that worked for him, Scott, and like I actually got into reading comic books from playing RPGs because I was playing the Marvel superheroes game, and I didn't actually know all that much about superheroes. And like all my friends were like picking different characters, and so we're like trying to find characters that are like the same power level. And so, so like I picked like the box from Alpha Flight, and I go in there to find out more about this character, and like you could tell he was just excited about comic books and a fan of comic books, and was super happy just to talk about comic books, and like, oh, that's great, and this is why that's great. as opposed to someone, and who was like, he was outgoing as opposed to someone who would, like inflict their opinions on you more so, like what you were talking about. Having someone's open and just happy to talk to people is super helpful.
Yeah, that's what I like because they always laugh at me because like I'm usually like as a normal person, I don't really talk to people or I'm grouchy or whatnot. But they say, man, when you get at the game store and you just start talking to people, you're like a different person. You're like, oh, because I enjoy it, you know? Like even Mikey, he's younger. So like the younger guys come in and they, the younger guys and girls come in and they talk to him and they feel more comfortable that way, because
Yeah,
it's like you can tell there's that sometimes that disconnect with age and like, and it's like I don't want that. Or like even like my wife will talk to people more and it's great because she'll just start up conversations, make them more comfortable and and get it in, actually all the employees at work here, and I don't want anybody that makes anybody feel uncomfortable, because it's like a lot of times too, sometimes people that play games aren't the most social people to begin with, so it's like why would you want them to feel less social? And
yeah,
we
yeah,
always we always and I always equate it to like almost like a like they were saying earlier, like do you have a is that a real bar in there? I almost equate it to the same place to hang out, like at a bar or a club or something like that. They come here, they talk, they hang out. It's like a social environment. So it's like, okay, as long as you play the rules, and a lot of them, hey, buy a pop or something, that's all I'm asking, just it's okay. I don't expect, and we have people that stop in just to see what's going on during the day, like, yeah, I was at work and I just took a
yeah.
lunch break, see what's going on, and they'll grab a soda or some chips and sit down and talk, and it's like it's a lot of fun.
If usually when I go to a new place, or if I'm going there to like play a game as opposed to as a customer, like I'll try and like buy a set of dice or something, just to
Yeah,
like support the venue some way or another. Or like if they sell drinks and snacks and stuff like that, that's also like an easy way to be like, all right, since I'm
yeah.
taking up space, I can buy some stuff here.
Yeah. I don't, and I don't even, we don't expect you to do that. We don't expect you to buy anything. We don't expect, I'm not here just to gouge you for money on it. Not
Yeah.
at all. We just, if you're having fun, you'll come back. And if you're having fun, you come back, you're more than likely going to spend money. So that's the option.
Are you
Unless you're the
guys
one,
taking part in RPG Day?
yeah, we are actually tomorrow.
Yes, that's
So
why I asked. I was like, "Hey, that's a
yeah,
thing we should probably bring up."
yeah, I got about four, three or four game, 3 or 4 demo games. I'm gonna have people running for different people, just kind of open ended. They come in and try it out. I'll have all the stuff on the table. Um, I think I'm still working on it. I know it's last minute, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I might do something like because that in that kit they only had like they had like the special items that were
Yeah,
like
yeah,
one ofs in each kit, and I got a couple kits, so I'll probably do like raffles. So like if you show up, fill out a raffle ticket, throw it in the box, and at the end of the day we'll pull it and maybe you'll win that. So but yeah, I like at first I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna pay for this and then I'm gonna give it away and what's my benefit? But now that I see it, like a lot of people do come in. I've gotten a lot
yeah,
of new customers from free RPG day. And if anything, it's like another social environment. People come in, talk about it, see the new game. And I like the more I think about it, it's like, okay, it's not a mainstream game or it's not D&D or it's not, the big ones. These guys can say, hey, here's my product, give it a try. I think there's even like a one page RPG, like a single page RPG game in there about familiars or something,
okay,
playing a familiar. So it's like there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So, but I,
yeah.
I enjoy it.
Even my partner Ted is heading down to Delaware. Uh, Days of Nights, I think, is the name of the store. Tomorrow to
Hmm.
check it out, which is a little bit
That's kind of a
further.
cool. It's kind of a cool name.
Yeah, which is a little bit further. He's got a couple stores that are much closer, but like it's a chance to check out different stores. Also finding ones that are involved in RPG Day is another thing too. Like he'll go see a store that he otherwise wouldn't have. He's kind of like me, since he's showing up, he'll probably spend some money there. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then for us, it's kind of fun too, because we're like, hey, in case you're interested, I'm going to be at this location, if you're in the area.
That's cool. I don't know. RP do you guys does he run like my question was like I didn't know if I was supposed to run sorry, I got off topic. But I didn't know if I was supposed to run RPG games for the free RPG game, and I was trying to get people to do it. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And
I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, I don't know what the rules are, if there are rules.
I know,
But I think it's actually kind of cool to run, like, try and run some of those games and have that available for them. It kind of dovetails nicely, especially if it's like, maybe the things that are in the kits, because then they can actually experience it as well.
yeah, I there are some cool stuff, and I've had cool stuff. It's I haven't had a chance to look. I looked at it real quick, so I haven't really seen anything. I know my wife snagged already one of those pre-painted they're the paint kits with the little rabbit guys. So
Little rabbit
her,
guys.
there's a humanoid rabbit. It always
Oh, yeah, yeah,
reminds me
yeah.
of
The Haragons.
yeah, Harrigan. My wife's like, oh, that's mine. She's gone. But I'm like, oh, I can't stop. They always remind. I don't know what's recently. I've seen a lot of role playing games, and I think it's because of the settings they have now. But a lot of rabbits that are
Oh,
now player characters, and all I can think of is Hops from like Gamma World, the original Gamma
oh,
World.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The evil rabbits with the assault rifles that just
I kind of think of Usagi Yojimbo from Teenage Mutant Ninja
yeah,
Turtles.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think he's getting his own Netflix show. So, or has
Is
his own
he?
Netflix show.
Oh yeah. That's that's cool. I gotta. Have you watched? Totally off topic. Have you watched Disenchanted?
Yeah, I did for a while and then I just stopped. But
Oh,
I did watch a bunch of them.
I like that. Speaking of Netflix, I don't know why, but that's I just thought of that. But
I mean,
I
talking about gaming, game stuff, that's fantasy.
yeah yeah that's it. Just reminds me of like kind of they kind of remind me of whenever I ran D&D. That always reminded me like just off the rail garbage, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Do you
But
prefer playing or running as a GM?
oh man, I like playing, but I think I got burned out playing I was DMing my group for man, it had to be 10, 12 years. Like
Yeah,
our group of friends that changed every once in a while. And the pandemic is when we stopped playing. And I realized I'm like, I think I burned out because once
yeah.
they started playing again, I'm like, I got nothing. Like they would always get mad at me. Like my wife was in my group and they like, they'd be going up to the final encounter and they're like, okay, here's the evil guy. What's his name? And I'd be like, Bob. Like Bob. Everybody was Bob or John and big guys. I'm like, listen, one of my players even gave me like a pre-generated, like, here, all you got to do is roll this dice and you'll have cool names. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Like,
You get no cool names.
yeah, you get Bob. And I'm like, I think I'm a little burned out on GMing, but I enjoy GMing. Players, I like playing too, but I think I'm more like I like to be maybe a little bit too much. I like to be in control, so I like
Yeah.
the GM part. And then, when I play, sometimes I find myself trying to control it, and that becomes unfun for unfun. That's not fun for other players. I don't want to, I don't want to be that control player or whatever they call it, where they gets wants to, oh, you could do this, you do that, you do this, and don't do that, and I don't want to
It's
do that.
nice when someone can recognize that flaw, right? And it just, like, I know people that are like, I don't like to play because I'm a terrible player. I just rather GM. For for various reasons.
Yeah, and I like the storytelling, and I like to talk, and it's just fun,
So Park
and
says, with an Italian restaurant upstairs, you all makes for a great source of pizza for games like DoorDash, but better.
but I don't even think he does pizza. I've never seen him make a pizza. It's always spaghetti and like lobster, like a higher end. Like if you go to a really crazy Italian restaurant, they have
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the clams and I I don't even. Hey, does Mario make pizza?
If you might get knives thrown at you if you ask him to make a pizza.
Does he? Actually, my Grant Mikey over here, he says no, he doesn't. He's never seen him make. That's funny though. Now that I think about it, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like Mikey
We
maybe
actually,
learned the hard way.
Yeah, he's like, get out.
Get out of here. Never come back. Pizza. Give you your pizza.
He threw a freezer at me. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's funny.
But we have the benefit of being here is because we're like right next to like a strip mall or open air mall,
Yeah, yeah.
and all the food places and the stores are all right there. So whatever you want, you can get.
It's
So it's,
convenient.
we have a, yeah, we have a lot of like, I think there's actually a Italian place that we get our pizza from, but that's all they do is pizza,
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, we got everything from, simple like McDonald's BW3s all the way up to high end like steakhouses and stuff within like a stone's throw here. So
That's good. You gotta keep the menus on hand, keep those customers in the store, and don't let them leave.
oh, DoorDash is beautiful. DoorDash people hate us because they're always like, "Where are you guys
Oh
at?"
yeah, they can never find it.
Oh, we had one the other day. We ordered food and the guy left it out front of the building. He's like, "Oh, I just left it out front of the building." And you go outside, it's on the steps of like the common area.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're like, "Why would you do that?"
Someone did
One
not get a
star.
good rating. Yeah.
Oh no, my buddy was furious, but you know, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't know, whatever. Is it there? I'll eat it.
Either that or someone walking by. Oh,
I know. I'm
DoorDash.
like, if that's as long as somebody ate, I figure, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what are your hours tomorrow if someone wanted to pop in for RPG Day?
It's 12 to 9 every day. We're open every day, 12 to 9,
Do you
and
do
we
you know?
close like. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask.
We
Do
only
you?
close like. Sorry, keep going.
I was just gonna ask. Do you know which RPGs are gonna be running tomorrow?
I think
Do I have to get your wife back over here?
nah, maybe. I know. I think a Starfinder is supposed to run. I think somebody brought in, and this is from last year's kit, but they're running Kids on Bikes.
Okay.
Uh, another one I think is doing Homeworlds. A couple of the DCC ones, the Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, we got a pretty good following of that around here. It seems a lot of guys like the Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff.
Yeah, that seems pretty
And
popular.
and then there was one other, like maybe I can't remember what he's going to run. Uh, I don't remember. I'm a terrible store owner.
Unless I'm misremembering, I think one of the guys from Kids on Bikes is from Ohio.
Is he?
I think so.
I have to look. It does have that Ohio feel to it.
I think because there was a couple of them. I think one of them was from Philadelphia and the other one was from Ohio.
Okay. I
So
have to look. Yeah, it's kind of a cool little game too. So,
I have not
huh?
actually played that one yet.
It's a little delayed. I'm a terrible story.
No, I'm sorry. My wife's in here laughing at me.
Heck, you're getting heckled from both sides.
I know I am. She goes, "There's a delay. I just saw what you said." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible store owner."
Well, you know what? You don't have to be a good one. You just surround yourself with people that are good.
That's what I do. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm terrible. I need
You're
somebody
like,
who's good."
you can bring the grump, and then they can bring all the other qualities.
Oh yeah, I'm like, they don't want to deal with me sometimes. They're like, "Is Diana here?" No. What do you want? No. Don't make me come over there. That's
so,
funny.
so I imagine having had a store for 10 years, you've probably gotten to know some of the people pretty well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been invited to weddings, right, babe? Customers' weddings, fancy wedding, which we found what?
Customers. And
Yeah, meet here, get married, and
your daughter?
my daughter. My daughter was not supposed to, like, I had a rule. She was working here, like, don't date customers, don't interact, don't make personal with her.
Uh-huh.
The next thing I know, she brings her boyfriend and it's a regular customer, and they ended up getting married. So I'm cool with it. But
Yeah.
I make one rule, and the only person that breaks it is my daughter, of course.
Now, if the
But
marriage doesn't work, you lose a customer.
no, what am I gonna do? But that's too funny. What was the other? Oh, at the wedding, the customer we did go to the wedding for, we did discover, what are those cookies? Pennsylvania. Yeah, Pennsylvania. I don't know. His wife was from Pennsylvania. She does. My wife's a big Cleveland Browns fan, and
Yeah,
we weren't going to go because they were Pittsburgh fans. But
yeah.
she found this. They had these. They brought in these chocolate chip Pittsburgh cookies, and they were like they thought they were the greatest things ever. And we ended up. They had a bunch of them in their freezer, so we got them from them. Left over.
Well,
But
Pennsylvania too. There's like two Pennsylvanias. There's like Pennsylvania, and then there's like Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. So
it's Kentucky. My wife's like, "What's the difference?"
because at a certain point you start seeing the billboards for renting machine guns. I think that's the difference.
That's it.
I'm like, what do you do? What do you rent those for? Is that bar mitzvah? What is the machine
Yeah,
gun?
just for fun.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't
Don't
well,
worry
you asking
about
so
it.
many questions.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
So, do you have any stories from running a game store for so long? It's unexpected, something you never thought would come up.
Oh,
I mean, you have a day job that you see kind of ruckus stuff anyway, but
the COVID was the worst.
yeah, what was the key to
COVID,
surviving
you didn't
COVID?
see. Yeah, you didn't see that coming. All of a sudden, you're just humming along, and bam, everybody's closed. Anything crazy? Consulting my wife again. the it's I know some of the customers and just it's just weird, it's just
People.
seeing, what we see a lot of.
Making everybody happy.
Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't call it weird, but it's cool because a lot of customers will come and they'll have their kids with them. And then we've been here so long that their kids have like grown up, went to college, and you see them come back and they're adults now. And
Yeah,
it's like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool because like, you're like, oh, they grew up, they either went to college, they went to service, they got a job,
they're like a
they
person
grew
now.
up. Yeah, you can't harass them like, get their sticky fingers off my counter.
Well, now the
you have a job
harassment
with money?
changes.
Come on
You
in.
can be like, remember when I used to yell at you for putting your sticky fingers on my counter? Soon they'll be bringing their kids, and you'll be yelling at their kids to not have their sticky fingers
I know,
on your
yeah.
counter.
Stop touching. Oh, yeah. And there's so many, we always laugh. We're like, we'll have customers and they're together and they come in as couples, which is cool. We meet them, like it's very, we're very hangout friendly kind of people. And then all of a sudden we'll be happy. They're like, oh yeah, we got married, and like, oh yeah, she's pregnant. And they're like, oh, okay. And like, doggone it. Now we're not going to see that guy no more. He's got pregnant for like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
5 and
Yeah.
6. Start feeling guilty. Good game star.
One guy's had like, man, he's had like 3 girls in 3 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, just keeps having girls. And he was in here the other day, he goes, I'm just going to buy a pack of magic and I'm going to get out.
Batman pouring poop out of the toilet.
Oh my God. That's the worst story. We had, if you got one more time for one terrible story,
Sure.
I'll tell you a Halloween
One terrible
story. So we used to have another building, and in the office building we were at, because we moved from one building to the next building, the family owned. That's another crazy story. But in the building was also on the same floor was a high colonic center where you get high colonics done.
Yeah.
Well, they only had one bathroom, and we had this Halloween party, so everybody was dressed up, and somehow the toilet got clogged from a client at the high colonic center. Well, he ran out, and we're like, well, where's maintenance? You got to do something with this. Couldn't do anything with it. So this guy was dressed as Robin, this customer. He goes, I'll save the day. He goes in the bathroom. He's like, come, and he gets it out of there, and he has these sleeves on. I mean, am I really watching this? I mean, I wish we could have filmed it back then, but I'm like, so he finally cleans out the toilet, and he's running around like a superhero, like with his legs all up, and then he runs down the stairs. Like,
You missed your America's Funniest Home Videos moment.
oh my God, it was terrible. It would have been the greatest thing ever. But I'm like, how does this happen? And why would this person not say something?
Man,
But yeah,
the public. Well, I'm sure,
The more
like
I think,
we've all walked into that restroom, or had
yeah,
that job where you're like, "Oh my god, what happened in here?
I
What
know what's
horror!"
going on in here.
On that
That's
note,
what. Yeah, that's probably why I like the bathrooms being taken care of by the client here
yeah,
or the
yeah, for
landlord.
sure. Uh,
Sorry, that was a sorry to end on toilet humor there, but
I mean, D&D groups, that's kind of like fairly common. On that note, as always, folks, links are all in the description below. So go check out Immortals Inc., the podcast, YouTube channel, on TikTok, and all that other good stuff. Or if you happen to be in the area, swing by their store. Final thoughts before we head on out?
just like to say thanks for having me on. You were great to talk to, and I hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time I'm in Ohio, I'll have to swing by. And until next time, everyone, stay nerdy.